Hey, welcome to another episode of geekoutdoors.com. So this week I'm going to do something a little different. I wanted to share my entire story of my Windows to Linux laptop. Now, if you haven't seen any of my previous videos where I'm going through this whole journey of finding my Linux laptop, you could check that out. I'll leave it in the link area below. But here, I'm going to give you the whole story, where I'm at, and why I think I actually found the quote-unquote perfect Linux laptop for me, and it's almost perfect. And so before I get into that, let me give you some context into my whole journey into doing this. So if you watch my channel, you know I absolutely love Linux, okay? And so Linux is my primary operating system. This is my Monster Linux PC desktop. You can probably see it here. I also have a video on that as well. And what I needed to do was I actually wanted to upgrade my laptop, because before, all my laptops were older used Windows laptops. I bought pretty much all of them in like pawn shops, okay, like this one right here. So I got this for like $150. It had Windows 8 on it, and obviously I put Linux on it, so this has Linux Mint. I think it's like version 17 if I remember correctly, or maybe it's 18. Anyway, it's old, but it did me really well. And this is actually an older HP, and I bought this for like $150. And this is really the laptop that got me started into Geek Outdoors. And then whenever I got this Monster Linux PC, I moved everything over there, and it was amazing. But then I still needed a laptop, okay? Specifically, I needed a Windows laptop. And this is where I think for a lot of people who know that I love Linux, they also know that I use other operating systems. You know, I use Mac, Windows, whatever tool is the best. Even though I am not a fan of the entire Windows experience, I had to get it because the rest of the world uses Microsoft Windows or Mac. And so most of my work is in digital marketing and also content creation, but I kind of figured if I'm going to be out and about, then for digital marketing, I don't need a lot of stuff. I just basically need a browser and Windows to run certain applications. And so because of that, I didn't think it was a big deal for me to just get a very low-end laptop. This is basically a netbook. This is a Dell, and it's like less than $200. But, you know, not having used Windows for a long time, okay? Windows has not been my primary operating system for years. And so I was actually absolutely disappointed, and I hated this experience. Because Windows 10 on this netbook was absolutely horrible, even for just web browsing. And so because of that, I had to get another laptop. And after having experienced Windows as my primary operating system, I remembered why I didn't like that experience. Now, I do have Windows running in a virtual machine on my Monster Linux PC, but obviously that's a much more powerful hardware. And so what I had to do was I quote-unquote upgraded to another Windows laptop. So as you can see, still here, I still have all the stickers on here. This is another HP laptop, and I just love HP for some reason. And this one was actually $300, so it definitely had more horsepower than this netbook. And the great thing was I could do all my work, and I could run Windows in a virtual machine. And it also had a pretty ample amount of storage. It had 1 terabyte of storage on here, which is great. So I could still do my content creation as well, as long as it wasn't 4K, which led me to the final laptop, hopefully, that I have, because my whole plan was eventually I was going to get like a gaming laptop. Not because I'm a gamer, because I need the extra horsepower to basically, you know, have a laptop that could pretty much do what my desktop does. And so I didn't plan on upgrading anytime soon, but then whenever I was using this new laptop, and I realized that I really could not do 4K content creation, even though it could do everything else, even running Windows in a virtual machine, I had to make an upgrade, you know, and it was an upgrade that I did not want to make because I just barely bought this laptop. It's not even like 3 months old, as you can see, like I mentioned earlier. I still have the stickers on there. And so what I did was I bought another Windows 10 laptop, and obviously I put Linux on it, and it's this one right here. Another HP laptop, and hopefully this is the last one that I buy for a while. And let me tell you why I bought this, okay? Since I do travel, I just really feel like I don't want to be limited by my ability to not only do work, digital marketing for my clients and for my own self, and also obviously my content creation stuff is huge for me. And so by not being able to do 4K footage, I really felt that was limiting. Okay, and so because of that, I made this particular upgrade. And the thing is, I did not upgrade this to Linux right away. And as a matter of fact, I actually was running this for a few weeks until recently. As you can see there's the stickers. I don't know why I got to point that out. It's not even been used. And so let me tell you my horror story, my Windows horror story, before I upgraded to Linux. So I was planning to upgrade anyway. But I've had this for a few weeks now, and Windows 10, the entire experience is much better than what I remember in terms of compared to Windows Vista and things of that nature. But, having used Windows in a virtual machine, Windows 10 in a virtual machine, I kind of knew what I was getting into. And then there was a huge update. Windows has a lot of updates. So there was a huge update that's happened this week. And after the update, my sound card no longer worked. Or the drivers, I even downloaded new drivers and it did not work at all. And so I had no sound on my brand new Windows 10 laptop. And just to let you know how much I spent on this, okay? So that one was like less than $200. I think it's like $150, $180, somewhere around there. This Windows laptop was $300, and I paid $500 for this one. And so you can imagine, just after a few weeks of having this, I had problems due to Windows 10 update. And the thing is, I'm not a noob. I'm a very techie person, and I couldn't even figure it out. I looked in forums. I just spent so much time, and it reminded me so much of the Windows experience. When things happen, I just have to spend so much time trying to fix it. And the actual huge Windows update that happened took more than an hour and a half. Okay, and I even wiped out the entire operating system and restored it from the restore feature, recovery feature, and the sound would not work. Okay, and so that pretty much gave me the go ahead. It's time to go ahead and completely wipe this out and put Linux on it. And so that's what I did. And now before I get into that, I want to show you quickly what one is all about. This one actually has an Intel Core i3 dual core processor. It has 4 threads. It has 8 gigs of RAM, which is excellent. And another thing that it has is, which I love, is that it has a lot of ports. It's got all the USBs right here. It's got HDMI out. And it has a Ethernet connection. Thank goodness. And then, even on the other side, it has something that I still love, an optical drive. So I still use those. And it has a full SD card slot as well. So a lot of features on here. And it also has a touchscreen, which works in Linux, which is awesome. And the only thing that made it not perfect, okay, and is something that I really wish it did have, because the storage on this is only 128 gigs, okay? And that's why it was almost my perfect Linux laptop, because with the horsepower that I have on this and all the other features, all the hardware features, this thing pretty much allows me to do everything that I would do in my desktop, including 4K content. And the build quality, everything is just so much nicer than my other laptops. And the thing is, I didn't have to spend over $1,000 for this quality, so I am impressed. And at least for me, since I'm not a gamer, this works extremely well. And so this was tough for me because I do want a lot of storage. I want at least, a whole terabyte of hard drive space. And, if I got a gaming laptop, I could have got one with a terabyte and an SSD as well, but that would have cost me, like double or triple what this costs. And so that was the only drawback that I had. And then in some cases, not a drawback because it is an SSD. And then running on Linux, this is extremely fast. And if you see here, I also have, there's Windows 10 running just fine. It runs really fast on here, because it's got the 8 gigs of RAM. And at the same time, it's got the Core i3 processor. So it does everything that I need. And so if it had like a terabyte of storage, it would have been perfect for me. And so that's my overall Windows, back to Linux, purchasing more hardware than I needed journey. And looking back, I definitely could have saved a lot more money if I would have just bought a powerful laptop at the beginning. But on the flip side, I was able to learn a lot of things about the entire Windows only experience that I haven't had for a long time. And at the same time, since I actually took the time and spent all this money to go through all of this experience, just in some cases people say all this pain, then you don't have to go through the same thing. And so I pretty much covered every type of laptop except for maybe gaming laptop that you would have to purchase. And at the same time, these are brand new Windows laptops. And so, I've just shown you that you can put Linux on these, which I've done. They have wiped out Windows and they have the, Windows 10 running in a virtual machine. And so I would say if you were just going to be using it for everyday tasks like browsing or whatnot, and even some light content editing, as long as it's 1080p, I think this is a good choice, about $300. It's not going to give you the best experience, but it's pretty much going to allow you to do almost everything except for 4K content and also gaming. And then for this one right here, at least for me, this is almost perfect for me, except for the storage. And since I am not a gamer, I don't really lose any of that. About the only games I play is, like old retro emulator games, and I have no problems running that here. And so that is it for this episode of my almost perfect Linux laptop, and really my entire journey to get to this point. Now, the only other thing left is for me to actually get a full-on gaming laptop that would have the most horsepower. But honestly, at this point, with this new laptop, I don't really think I need that. I think whenever that requires it, gaming, or maybe I'm going to do a lot more complex 4K content or beyond, then it'll probably make sense for me to upgrade at that point. But I don't intend to do that anytime soon. These laptops are so new, I might as well save my money now and just enjoy the experience that I have here. And so that is it for this long journey of an episode. If you had any thoughts on this, be sure to leave it in the comments area below. And if you wanted to see any of my older videos where I got these, and even my Linux PC build, you can check that out in the description area below as well. So thanks so much for watching. So if you did enjoy these videos, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Thank you.